when I think about bald eagles, I always go back to the founding fathers and how the eagle became our national symbol. Do you ever wonder about that? And I remember this story about Ben Franklin, about him wanting the turkey to become part of the national seal or the national animal of the newly formed nation. And, I wanted to find out if that was true or not. So I'll tell you what I learned in a moment. But, after the Declaration of Independence was signed, the Continental Congress gave the job of designing an official seal. You need a seal, a new country, to Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and John Adams. And they failed their initial attempts to create a seal. And finally, the task was given to a gentleman named Charles Thomson. He was the Secretary of Congress. And Thomson looked at some of the prior renderings and pulled some of the elements. And in particular, he got rid of a little white eagle that they had in one of the previous renderings and added the American bald eagle. And right away, this new drawing, and we'll post the neat drawing that he sketched, and you'll see the American bald eagle and its first inclusion on our national seal. And then the official seal was created from that, and you will recognize it today with the eagle with its outstretched wings, the shield on its chest. And Lori, do you know what the eagle is grasping? In one talon, he's got the 13 arrows, right? And in the other, an olive branch. Even though we look at this symbol many times every day, would you have remembered exactly that little factoid? Anyway, here's the deal on Franklin. My research finds that Franklin made no vocal or written objection to the bald eagle becoming part of the national seal. But there's a letter he wrote to his daughter after the seal was adopted, and he writes, "For my own part, I wish the bald eagle had not been chosen representative of our country. He is a bird of bad moral character. He does not get his living honestly. You may have seen him perched on some dead tree near the river where, too lazy to fish for himself, he watches the labor of the fishing hawk. And when that diligent bird has at length taken a fish and is bearing it to his nest for the support of his mate and his young ones, the bald eagle pursues him and takes it from him." And then he continues, "The turkey is in comparison a much more respectable bird, and withal a true original native of America." So that is from Ben Franklin himself in a letter to his daughter, and he liked the turkey. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to add. Did you know there's a reverse of our official seal, and that is the drawing that has the unfinished pyramid and the zenith eye? There's a lot of speculation as to where this came from, but there is a reverse, and you can see it on some of our currency. Anyway, I'll post all this so you can see these examples. There's a lot of interesting things written about our great seal. Now, back to the bald eagle. Bald eagle is one of two eagle species in North America, two main ones, the other being the golden eagle. The bald eagle was very prevalent at the onset of the United States, but it was not really thought of very highly. The settlers saw the bird as competing for natural resources, taking their fish, messing around with their livestock, and consequently they killed the eagles, and they also killed them for sport. Native Americans trapped and killed the eagles and used the feathers for ceremonial purposes. It's thought that before European settlement, there were up to 500,000 bald eagles across North America. And get this, as late as the mid-1800s, eagles in the winter were reportedly seen in Central Park in Manhattan. They had caught their fish in the nearby rivers and brought them to the park to munch on them. But the eagle populations continued dwindling, and ultimately, it was recognized that some legislation was needed, and in 1940, Congress passed the Bald Eagle Protection Act. This outlawed killing and disturbing of eagles, and you were not allowed to possess parts of eagles, including nests, eggs, and feathers. However, this act was really not strictly enforced. The hunting, which included bounty hunting, was made worse by the introduction of the pesticide DDT. And there is some controversy exactly about how DDT worked to harm the eagle populations, but either way, the populations really, really shrunk. And of course, Rachel Carson's famous book, Silent Spring, that was published in 1962, and ultimately the pesticide was banned in the U.S. in 1972. A survey in 1963 found only 417 nesting pairs of bald eagles in the entire lower 48 states. Fortunately, the comeback of the bald eagle is one of the great conservation stories in history due to enforcement of the Endangered Species Act, captive breeding, and a recognition that we really need to support the species. They have come back and now can be found widely, as well as in Mexico, Canada, and Alaska. In fact, they are no longer considered endangered. Lori, you remember when we saw those eagles when we were in Alaska a few years ago?
I sure do.
I fortunately had my new telephoto lens and took some great pictures. It helps to be able to enlarge them when you're not really a professional photographer. And I will post them also on the website. I wanted to add, there are still some threats to bald eagles. They include illegal shooting. Who would do that? Is considered the biggest threat to their safety. Also, another threat includes lead poisoning from lead shot, which is used to shoot ducks, which the eagles then eat. Power lines, habitat loss, and of course, those wind farms.
So bald eagles aren't actually bald, right?
I know, that's always interesting.
Yeah. The bald eagle is actually one of the largest raptors in the world. The wingspan ranges from 72 to 90 inches, which is about 7 feet. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Bald eagles sit at the top of the food chain. Bald eagles can fly to an altitude of 10,000 feet, and during level flight, they can achieve speeds of about 30 to 35 miles per hour. But when bald eagles attack their prey, they swoop down on them at an angle where they can reach speeds up to 100 miles per hour when diving.
That's incredible for such a large, heavy animal.
I know.
That's incredible. And 10,000 feet. I would have never guessed that they can get up that high. That's amazing.
Bald eagles have 7,000 feathers.
7,000. That's a lot more than I would have guessed also.
And who would bother to count the feathers on a bald eagle? Bald eagles can live 20 to 30 years in the wild. And do you know what a baby bald eagle is called?
Not an eaglet?
Yes. Bald eagles eat mainly fish, but they will take advantage of carrion, which is dead and decaying flesh.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that got Ben Franklin hot under the collar, it seems.
Yes, and all eagles are renowned for their excellent eyesight. So I guess that's where the phrase eagle eye comes from. At around 4 or 5 years old, bald eagles will choose a mating partner through a courtship procedure. The courtship includes numerous calls and aerial displays. Once coupled, the two birds will mate for life. And only in the case where one eagle dies or disappears will the other one find a new mate. And as you mentioned earlier, causes of death of the bald eagle: fatal gunshot wounds, electrocution, poisoning, collisions with vehicles, lead ammunition, and starvation.
And Lori, I just want to mention the impact on the bald eagle population from the 1989 Exxon Valdez oil spill. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, about 247 eagles were thought to have been killed from the oil exposure. The population levels decreased somewhat, not too much, and bounced back by 1995. But still, the eagles don't like oil.
No birds like oil. Peter, there are over 60 different species of eagle. But as you mentioned, the bald eagle and the golden eagle are the only ones in North America. So I thought I would talk a minute or two about the difference between the two. First of all eagles have excellent eyesight. Both the bald eagle and golden eagle are top predators of the food webs. So what's the difference between bald eagle and golden eagle? Bald eagles are endemic to North America, whereas golden eagles are found everywhere in the northern hemisphere. The bald eagle is larger than the golden eagle in their sizes. Bald eagles have white color feathers on the head and the tail, whereas golden eagles have golden bordered feathers around the head and the back of the neck. Now, the beak of the bald eagle is slightly larger compared to the bill of the golden eagle. The beak is completely yellow colored in bald eagles, whereas it's dark at the tip and the rest is yellow in golden eagles. Bald eagles prefer fish to others, but golden eagles feed on small mammals as well. The United States, as you clearly explained to us, chose the bald eagle as its national symbol. the people of Mexico adopted the golden eagle as their national symbol.
Oh, I never thought about that, but thinking about their currency, yeah, of course. And Lori, the golden eagle, its populations have been more steady than the bald eagle. They were not susceptible or not as susceptible to DDT as the bald eagles were. That's probably because they don't consume fish. They consume mammals as their primary food. So the DDT does not get concentrated in those little mammals like it does in the fish. The golden eagle was also protected by the 1962 Act. And so these days, the main threats and the main cause of deaths to golden eagles are from human impact, such as collisions with vehicles, wind turbines, and other structures, electrocution, and things like that. So, Lori, do you think the Founding Fathers made a good choice in retrospect by choosing the bald eagle to be on our national seal, even though now we know the bald eagle steals the food of other animals, eats dead animals, and has low moral character? You still think the bald eagle is a good choice?
I do. Franklin didn't know what he was talking about. They have high moral character. They're very ethical birds.
I think you're right. One of Franklin's missteps.
Peter, you know what the first thing that pops up when you do a Google search on eagles?
The band?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I figured. But that's a good point because eagles, whether they're the band or the bird, the idea of the eagle is just everywhere in our American culture, and perhaps in Mexican and other cultures too. But so many products are designed or named after eagles. The connection with excellent vision, we always hear about that. I mean, eagles are everywhere in our culture, on our currency. Eagles are everywhere.
Yes, it's pretty rewarding when your patients tell you that you've given them the eyes of an eagle.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Have you seen the cartoons of the Great Seal being modified to give it a Trump-style bald head instead?
No.
So now there's a golden hair on our bald eagle in cartoons.
Oh, they're going to ruin our emblem.